Right, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Rufai Yosini.
And I'm Shaito Atigari. Good morning.
It's a pleasure once again,
Shaito.
Right, the governorship candidate of the Iboro Nigerian Renewal Party, NRP, in the 2019 Akwa Ibom state gubernatorial election, Mr. Iboro Otu, insists that the election petition tribunal in Akwa Ibom state must accept his petition. Why?
Otu, who stated that the 2019 polls in Akwa Ibom state were heralded by vote buying, and laments that what he described as a conspiracy to reject his petition at the tribunal against the re-election of Governor Udom Emmanuel of the PDP.
Right, joining us now is Iboro Otu of Iboro Nigerian Renewal Party. Hi, how are you doing? Good morning, Otu. Okay. Okay. While we connect to him, the case is on ground, and this is, he says that he went to court. He had some evidences he needed to submit at the electoral petition tribunal. He went there, but they kept on pushing this case aside.
They refused to collect it. Based on the information I was able to gather, they said that it wasn't in the 21-day time that he had to put it in. However, that doesn't make any sense because according to him, he said he was there by midnight of the day, but then they delayed and dragged it out, therefore not enabling him to submit it.
I mean, it's just like many cases making the rounds, just like a case we'll be treating to next week about some candidates of the SDP in Kogi State saying that she's not been given ample time to replace her candidate with INEC and things like that. And, you know, you just have litany of cases like that. Electoral Petition Tribunal, this year, we've got well over close to 800 cases. And let's just see how this pans out. Iboro Otu has finally gone to Federal High Court in Abuja. He's trying to seek redress. And we're going to see how this pans out. In fact, a lot of people also segue this into the EU report saying there were lots of irregularities around this election period. And the EU did make stern recommendations. A lot of people also call for stronger election reforms in this country. Because when you hear cases like this, increasing cases like this, and how, you know, petitions are filed for election management in this country.
Yes. What it is.
Right, Iboro Otu, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Thank you.
All right. So tell us what happened. What happened really?
Regarding the elections?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You know, the elections came and went. And, of course, we weren't very satisfied with the outcome of the elections. And myself and my party, we decided to challenge the result of the outcome of the elections. However, we couldn't get through because the tribunal, the registrar of the tribunal refused to take our petition, even when we were 2 days early. So we approached the High Court to compel the tribunal to take our petition. And it's been one thing after the other. It took months to even get a date for hearing. And when we did, the judge didn't sit. And we tried to get our petition in, find a way to get the vacation court to get us a hearing date. The chief judge of the High Court wrote back to us that he wouldn't do so and advised us to wait for the courts to come out of vacation, which we all know that by the time that would, I mean, at the moment the tribunal is already off. That means we can't get in. And we are really very dissatisfied. We had hoped a long time, even before, after the elections and during the tribunal process, that we would be given an opportunity to ventilate our displeasure. So where we are at the moment is to find other ways to address this great problem we have in our democracy and also with our petition tribunals.
You know,
so that's the summary of the situation we have.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, it's appalling that, you know, you have come out and you have a list of witnesses who have come forward to say that in a lot of electoral places during this the 2019 elections, there was a lot of vote buying, there was a lot of militarization in these areas. The witnesses have come out to say that this has happened. However, you're still being strong-armed by, you know, parties that don't want you to do this. What say you about this situation?
It's really sad. You know, at first when we started talking about this, because in the build-up to the elections, we saw a lot of financial transactions going on, especially on the day of the elections. No one was really taking us seriously, partly because probably APC thought they'd win, and probably because they also played a little part in the game. But when the results of the tribunal started coming out in Akwa Ibom State, I'm sure you've read allegations of people saying, I think one of the judges saying that 1.5 million was paid for, dollars was paid for one of the judgments, and a lot of stuff. And now the APC is coming out to say, oh, there was buying, people are buying decisions all across Akwa Ibom State. Of course, that is true. But that had been our position a long time ago. You see, the way this money is getting into our democratic process and the whole vote buying issue, it's really killing our democracy. It's making it impossible for people to compete and actually get great leaders in the system. So what we're trying to do is find a way around this, and hopefully we will do it so that the next election coming up and subsequently across Nigeria and across time, we will be able to have representatives that will be able to deal with issues that affect people's lives because the people voted them in.
Right. A lot of people say what you're just doing is just sour grapes. I mean, that's because I did speak to some people on ground in Akwa Ibom State. They said you stood no chance in the first place, that you wouldn't even win your ward in your local government. So what's the fuss about?
All right, if that was the case, why did the guys not give us our final counts in the polls? Why try to put us out? Why try to very forcefully stop us from competing? It's up to the people of Akwa Ibom State to choose. If whoever proposes that he or she would win feels they are very confident, that's more reason why we should competitively get to the field and, work. And again, when you look at my case, I'm really not fighting that I should be made the governor of Akwa Ibom State in the courts. I am saying that the process that led to the outcome of the governor was illegitimate, that there was a lot of vote buying, and that process should be addressed so that other people, not just me, should be able to compete. So that argument doesn't hold water. It doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter who is very popular. What matters is the process and how the winner is being, and how the winner emerges. Because when there's no direct relationship between voters and leaders, then the responsibility is not there. And that's what we're seeing presently in the state.
A lot of people will say, and in Akwa Ibom State, out of Akwa Ibom State, are saying the main contest was between the two top parties, the APC and the PDP. It was a contest pretty much like they said between former governor of the state, Akwa Ibom, and an incumbent governor of the state, Akwa Ibom and Udom Emmanuel. That even the ANRP position of, its vote not being counted fully is not true. It doesn't hold water. What do you say about that?
Come again, please. I didn't get that right.
They said your position about you
saying that.
Yeah, that your vote not being counted fully doesn't hold water.
Well, that is their opinion. The opinion of the law and the courts and the opinion of Akwa Ibom people is totally different. And mind you, I am not the only person that ran for governor. I have other aspirant candidates as well. In fact, in my suite, in my case at the ICC, which we are approaching, I have one of the candidates, Architect Nyaitok, who is a very prominent Akwa Ibomite, behind me as well, and all the other candidates to see how we can address this issue. Politically in Akwa Ibom State and generally across the country, psychophancy tend to make people reason in a very particular way and direction. And when you listen to this kind of conversations where people say, oh, you weren't popular enough, you couldn't win, it doesn't really hold any water, because that's the more reason why the process should be competitive. If you're very confident that your governor would win, why go ahead and spend 30 billion during the elections buying outcomes in the courts for whatever and all the allegations going around? It just doesn't make any sense, because the confidence is what should build the person to come out and compete. So I don't want to get my eyes off the ball. I want to address an issue that is critically killing our democracy in Nigeria, and Akwa Ibom State is a case point, because a lot of dirty things went on during the last elections. And as much as anyone else would want to move this away so that we can get into governance and do great things in the state, we also have to understand that when the process is not right, you cannot have good governance. So please, I think they're totally wrong with that thinking and that outcome.
Now, your application is set to be transferred and the trial should continue before the regular court, as they're saying that the case is not a post-election matter. What's your reaction to that? And also, what are your next steps for the Abundant Nigerian Renewal Party?
Well, it's quite sad that we have some funny judgments going around. Sometimes some few people are making the judiciary look bad, because there's no reason why our case wouldn't get into the vacation court to give us a chance at the tribunal. We have every fact and evidence to prove otherwise that we should be there. So what we have to do now is to find a way to get justice with regards to this. We have two ways. One would be to sue the High Court on, what they've cost us, what they've cost democracy in Akwa Ibom State. Even when we've repeatedly written to the Chief Judge, we've sent reminders, we've done all sorts, and we have all this evidence on video, most of them on YouTube as well, that we were 2 days early in the courts, the tribunal, and we were stopped illegally and all that. So we need to let the world know. Unfortunately for us, what we were challenging for, which is vote buying and voter intimidation, is couched under the ICC as crime against humanity, under political repression. So alongside other candidates that contested in the elections, we will be approaching the ICC in this regard, while also pushing to create a greater environment for our people to engage politically. All these things that people are saying on the side is just people trying to discourage other people from coming in. And for example, most of the times when I have an opportunity to speak with young people, I tell them, your problem is not too young to run and all the rest of it. The problem is that you have sets of people that believe they own this country and they own our democracy and they have money. So there are loads of steps before you even get in a party, before you get out of the party, even before the elections. Okay. Boundaries and things that are put in place to stop you from getting anywhere. So we are trying to address all those. Okay.
Mr. Otu, you said you've got quite a retinue of evidences here. What are those things you have, those evidences? You said case of vote buying. You also alleged just now that about 30 billion was spent on what? You also said judges were giving $1.5 billion. Can you talk us through those evidences you've got? $1 million. $1 million, yeah. Can you talk us through those evidences you've got and other ones you've got so you can make a case before we go on a quick break?
Well, if you ask anybody in Akwa Ibom State who was around during the elections and what happened, every polling unit had 1.5 million naira. We have 4,500 polling points in Akwa Ibom given to them by the ruling party. Everyone knows that. And that's why our petition wasn't allowed in, because when they saw the power of what on the election day and before, I told my people, look, we will have a very big problem with these people. So we concentrated on collecting data. So after the election, everyone knew that we had so much data. So they stopped us from getting this across so the world can see. Yeah, when you do the maths, you see billions were spent on the election day. When you multiply 1.5 against 4,500, minus the logistical cost and all the other costs with the party members. And it's also in the media that I'm not the one just saying it. If you Google it, you'll see that this last case that had to do with Godswill Akpabio and the PDP senator, the judges, one of the judges saying that the other two collected $1.5 million each to get the judgment in favor of PDP.
Who said that?
And of course,
which judge said that?
Well known across it.
Which judge specifically said he collected 1.5?
I can't remember his name, but I'm very certain if you Google $1.5 million Akwa Ibom State judgment, it's everywhere on social media. Everyone knows that. Not on social media, in the news. So it's not just hearsay. And most of the facts I have, during the elections and after, are all well known in social media. It's just that I have people that are willing to come out and testify. So that's the beautiful thing about what we have. So on the strength of that, other governorship candidates have come on and said, oh, look, let's approach the ICC with what you have and what we have so we can move forward with this.
I mean, if you say a judge came out to say that he collected 1.5 million, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. All right, we're still talking to Iboro Otu of the Abundant Nigerian Renewal Party. And Iboro Otu, you're making some very strong allegations here just like what you said, that a judge did come out to say $1.5 million was given to him to be able to make a decision on a very important case in Akwa Ibom State. Have you made any attempts to report the case to the NJC?
We did write to the NJC, of course. My lawyers did write to every, most of the parastatals out there. Yeah, I should say that. But we did not. Up until now, we've not gotten any response from any of them during the time of the election, the tribunal, while the tribunal was going on. For some reason, we wrote to the chief judge as well of the High Court, and I even tried coming around to have a few meetings with whoever could help get our case heard, our two cases heard.
You wrote to the chief judge of the High Court, and what was his response?
Yes.
What was his response when you wrote to him? No
response at all with all the reminders. No response. We've done all, and all these issues, all these things are documented. We went as far as writing to the Senate chairman and the Senate president, the president, everyone, all sorts. When you're trying to get yourself through the door, you do everything necessary to get yourself through. But like I said before, when you're fighting from a position where you don't have Godfather, you don't have systems that are well recognized and oiled and understood how things work here, which we are trying to change, it becomes really difficult because things are stacked up against you. So hopefully in the future we should be able to get our cases heard internationally and spotlight what's happening in Nigeria using Akwa Ibom State as a case point. It's really terrible what's happening in our democracy. It's a hawking of democracy where people with money get their way and those without that kind of leverage don't go anywhere.
Okay, let's put the spotlight a bit on Akwa Ibom State. It's said to have the highest number of unemployed young people, youth in this country as we speak today, a sizable number. But it's sort of like a contrast, a high number of unemployment, but there's a lot of wealth and abundance in the land. I was in Uyo the other day, sparkling airport, development on the move. What's your say on this?
I'm very certain data does not lie. Sometimes the government would say, we have the highest amount of foreign direct investment in Nigeria. But then that contrasts having 36.2% of unemployed people in the country, number one. And there's so much poverty in the land and there are no jobs. And they keep coming up with new schemes, groundbreaking projects. Some are nice and laudable. I wouldn't say that the governor is getting everything totally wrong. But the most important ones, the areas of education, healthcare, agriculture, inclusive prosperity, employment, we are not seeing any traction in that direction. And most of the investments that supposed investments like maybe the syringe company, the airline and all sorts, a bit far-fetched in terms of creating jobs for people, So we believe and we hope that with a bit of pressure and maybe with a bit of change in the system, Akwa Ibom State would be a much better place than it is at the moment. Most of the times I don't like to sound very... Go on.
But a lot of people say those developments are already bringing people into Akwa Ibom State. Take, for instance, Ibom Air. A lot of people are saying, great, exciting, 3 times a week or 3 days a week, probably you can get into Akwa Ibom, Investors Paradise on time, a flagship, what a state government can do. A lot of people are saying the governor under his Dakada mindset is reviving the state. Lots of investment in agriculture, lots of investment in human capital development. Recently, the Akwa Ibom Youth Bill was passed, and the Akwa Ibom Youth Bill is out there. It's just waiting for assent by the governor. About 3 or 4 billion will be given to development of youth in the state. So a lot of people will tell you that the state is on an upward swing. What do you say about all of this?
I don't know where to start, but I can only say let's wait and see what happens. I don't know if British Airways is running on profit or Emirates, even when they have over 300 planes. The airline business is not a business for profit. there are many reasons why developed nations have airlines. And Akwa Ibom State being where it is as the poorest, with the highest amount of unemployment and with the rate of poverty, airlines are not what we should be investing in. A government is not a business. It's more about taking care of people. It's people that develop businesses. When you develop your people in turn would run airlines and do all sorts. Right now, what's needed in Akwa Ibom State is access to great schools, great healthcare, education, agriculture, putting food on the table. It's the most important thing because of the poverty level in the state. And also, we need to develop our people to be able to take care of these big industries. So when you take $50, $100 million and invest in an airline that employs less than 300 Akwa Ibom people, and you tell me, oh, you're investing in the future. What future? You show me an example of a company that's run 3 airlines to make a profit in 10 years to take care of the people. Whereas, looking at opportunity cost, you could invest in education and get our people in 10 years to actually own airlines. Another thing is this. They say things like, oh, Akwa Ibom people, why we don't have a lot of them employed by Ibom Air is because they're not really competent enough to work there. So they have this scheme to train people overseas to come back and become engineers and all sorts. And I tell them, look, in the agri sector, we've been farming for over 100 years. You don't need to do anything. The farmers are already there. They just need intervention. So why are you spending a lot of money to do a lot of things that's 50-50 when you have a sure place you can invest and develop people? So these are issues that are, when you look at, you realize that something fishy is going on. Really, I have not seen the paperwork about who owns the company, Ibom Air, and all the other companies. A lot of people are saying these things belong to individuals, not the government. We really don't know what's going on. It's very shady, and I'll be very happy if you can, for example, back up these things with data, like how I've not seen no paperwork. No one sees what's happening. So it's not where we should be. We need real serious development and real serious intervention. So I tend to, because I'm from Akwa Ibom State and I know how much money gets into the state and what's happening in the state, I believe we can do better, much more than what we are seeing right now. So I believe my people as well, Akwa Ibom people as well, would want to see much more. And you look at what's happening at the moment. I know when I left yesterday down to Abuja, there's been some killings there with the cyclists and the police and the thing. And there's a lot of issue now coming to the front because people are very unemployed, very dissatisfied, and a lot of people are taking laws into their hands, which we don't want at the moment. We want prosperity and peace, and we want inclusiveness when it comes to governance, and I believe we'll get there.
Now, still shedding a spotlight on Akwa Ibom, like you've just rightfully mentioned, that you are seeing high rates of killing because of the high rates of poverty as well. We are approaching the 59th birthday of Nigeria, and we have President Muhammadu Buhari. One of the strong points he focused on at the UN General Assembly is the state of security. Can you give us a sense of what the security is like in Akwa Ibom, especially now as we approach the ember months of the year?
Well, normally, as it is happening at the moment, things tend to heat up a bit. But, I believe that with the security agencies, we should be able to help mitigate that or manage that. Generally, in Nigeria, we can see what's happening as a result of unemployment. And it's just the same thing that's happening everywhere. It's just that in some places, they get more high up there than others. Yes, we've enjoyed some relative peace in the past months, but as things unfold, the system is getting heated up. Our hope is to get back home, work hard with the security agencies, try to bring peace to wherever that is lacking, and get our youths engaged. In my own capacity, I'm doing my best to make sure that our young people are engaged in different areas and can gainfully get employment in and out of the state to, focus their talent elsewhere. So for now, I wouldn't want to sound too pessimistic. I believe that there's great news out there, and we'll get there with our collective work.
Right. With all of this, what's your confidence level like in the Nigerian judicial system?
It's like 20%. It's been really bad. Maybe with the tribunal, it's because most of the judgments we are hearing across the country are very skewed. I've been reading in the papers, whether it's at the presidency level or across the states. And looking at my state, for example, I mean, you just look and read as a layman and you wonder how people use technicalities to get to where they're going. I believe that we need to work hard, and I believe that our judicial system, the judiciary needs to be looked at, and that some critical investments and change needs to be made. As an advocate for, justice, prosperity, inclusiveness, I'll do the best I can, and I also ask our leaders to look beyond self and understand that decisions given and made affect other decisions in the future. So to move us and to get Nigeria to where it needs to go, these kind of things that we're seeing around shouldn't be happening. With most of the tribunals cases out of the way, I'm hoping getting to the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, wherever, that the judges and justices would look critically at what's at hand to give more, fair judgments that would move Nigeria in a positive direction. It's quite low right now, but I believe we'll get there.
Okay, so real quickly, you're going to ICC, right? In less than 20 seconds. What are your expectations?
Yes, we are.
What are expectations from the ICC as regards this case? Briefly.
Well, you know how it is. Nigeria is a sovereign. Decisions there really don't. They can't say Nigeria. We say to Nigeria, "Oh, this is whatever it is." But what happens is that countries in the ICC, like America, the EU, UK, and other countries, could say, "Oh, people that are mentioned here, maybe the governor, for example, or the INEC chairman or whoever, we stop you from coming to our country, or we stop you from accessing funds." We want to see some pain attached to vote buying and voter intimidation.
Okay.
Because when this happens, the leaders will see the reason not to engage.
Okay. I'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Iboro, for your time on this. Thank you so much.